Teri Jones here. This is Explore Mixed Media with Teri Jones, Korinne Carpino, and Laurie Trumpet Williams. And today we're going to explore some watercolor. This is Explore Mixed Media. Okay, and I have to turn that off. Okay. So does any of you want to say anything, Korinne or Laurie?
Hi, yeah, I'm still trying to get my camera to work.
Watercoloring a long time, and looking forward to reacquainting myself with it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with going down while Laurie's working on her camera. I'm going to start on going down with mine because I have some stuff to just talk about. So here I go. I'm going to go down. And so first thing I'm going to talk about is watercolors themselves. So I usually use watercolors that come in a tube. You can see Korinne is opening her little tubes or trying to.
Yeah.
And but I tend to place them in a palette and I work from my palette. So here is a palette, and what you'll see is I tend to put my palettes, I organize them according to the color wheel. And this palette is, I think, Daniel Smith watercolors. So I have all my colors on a piece of paper on top so I know what they are. And here's my messy palette. So, and I just realized I don't have a spray bottle. And so what I really should have is a spray bottle to wet my watercolors. And mine is currently full of coffee, so that would not work. But I can also clean and wet them just with a brush. So you don't have to have a spray bottle. Normally, I would spray my colors so that they were kind of activated. But the other thing that I can do is just throw some water on them so that they're activated if you are silly and don't have a spray bottle like I don't have. So here all of my colors are kind of activated. And I've got all of this mess on the palette. Now, a lot of people will clean their palette up. I'm just playing today. So there's a lot of good color on this palette. So why would I clean up my palette? So anyway, watercolors is the first thing you need. The second thing that you're going to need is brushes. And so there's a variety of different brushes. As you can see, this is what they call a flat brush or a wash brush, and it's used mostly for washing, for doing glazes and washing. And then I have a variety of other brushes that I have. There's mops, and there's you can actually use your calligraphy brushes if you have it. We're going to be painting very loosely today, so the calligraphy brushes we used a couple of weeks ago will be fine. And then we have what we call rounds, which will come to a point. This is a Black Velvet Silver by Princeton, which is a really nice brush. It is a little more on the moppy side. And then there's some that are more like sable brushes, which would be, this is the Princeton brush. I think it's the, what's this one called? Velvet Touch. No, this is the Heritage, which feels more like a sable brush. And the difference between a sable brush and a moppy brush is that the sable will spring back farther. So today, what we're going to just start doing is just seeing what watercolors do. So the first thing that I'm going to do is later on in the month, we will use watercolors direct from the palette or direct from the tubes, but right now we're not. And this is also watercolors. These are the intense watercolors that come in blocks. And you can also use them. You can use the blocks just like you can use. So if you don't have watercolors, but you have ink tints, you can actually use them just like watercolors by wetting them like I did. Because basically the blocks are what you see in here in a stick form. So I wanted to tell you that too. So, is everybody here? Oh, there, I can see Korinne. I can't see Lori. Okay. So I am going to start here. So what I've done is I have put a I've taped off a piece of watercolor paper into basically 6x6 blocks. And what I'm going to do is just start looking at playing with some colors. Let me get this back to focus. It's not going to focus on me right away. Come here. Okay. And so to start out, so I've just taped them down. They're 6x6 blocks. I can see, Korinne, that you're doing the same thing.
I am.
Okay, and so I'm going to just kind of start exploring, and I don't want to end up with too many colors. So I will decide on maybe to start with maybe 3 colors. Now I can start with like the primary colors. I can start with a red, a yellow, and a blue, and I think that that is kind of what I'm going to start with, but I'm wanting to something a little more interesting. So I'm going to start with a like a manganese or a lighter blue. I don't really want to start with a real dark like ultramarine. And I'm going to start with I think I've got this what looks like quinacridone pink, it looks like, or red, one of the two. There's a light maybe that's quinacridone rose. And I don't know if you can see me on the, and then I think this is New Gambo or Hands of Yellow Light. That's what that is. Hands of Yellow. Medium, maybe. That's light. So I'm just going to make a few puddles of color. And then I'm going to, oh, I said I was going to use, did I say manganese blue? Whatever. A light blue. I've got this almost I have cobalt teal too, but I'm going to do a fairly light blue here. You could use cobalt. I would not suggest using phthalo. Okay. And so what I'm going to do in one of my sections is I'm just going to put a little bit of water in it. In fact, I can do it in all of the sections. Let's just, why is this water? Uh-oh, guys.
What?
I'm in trouble. I
Already?
evidently, huh?
Already?
I'm in serious trouble. I evidently used a piece of oil paper.
Oh,
Oh no, Mr. Bill. I need to find a really quick piece of watercolor paper. Okay, watercolor paper, where are you? I am so sorry. This is, I can't believe that I did that. I thought I had watercolor paper. I taped it down, and I also have um, oil paper for my cold wax and oil. And that's what I taped down. Let me just grab a piece of paper here and cut it. Oh my.
all right. In the meantime, I'm going to
Yeah, why don't you just go
I'm
play?
gonna wet my paper and practice doing a wash
Okay, you can do that while I
while you do that.
do this. Thank you, Corinne.
Yeah,
Can you explain the steps to the wash while you
so
do it?
my paper is wet and I'm taking my paint and just putting it along the top, and you can see, hopefully, oh, that light is really bright on my paper. Let's see if I can pull it down so you can see a little bit. And I might move my camera down since now you need to see me more. So bear with me. Okay. Okay, so hopefully you can see that the water has run down the page into the,
Oh,
yeah,
that's pretty.
yeah. And if I put a little bit more, I can darken this up here and just let it kind of drift down through. As I said, I haven't done this in ages. And the paint is going to go into any areas that has the water. Now, if I, this is taped to a board, so I can't lift it up, but if I did, I could get it actually to run. If I put a little bit of water underneath. So the paint is going to travel into the water. And when we do the wash from dark to light, it's called the graduated wash. I'll just get a little more paint.
So it's interesting, Corinne. It looks like you're sideways for a change. I don't
Well, I
know.
kept for a minute because I needed to pull the camera closer so
Oh, okay.
what I was doing while you're
Well, I'm
getting
trying to
ready.
figure out. I am down now.
Okay. So I'm
I
gonna put my camera back and let you take over.
Okay, and I super apologize, guys. Hopefully this will be much better. Um, so anyway, I have generally just taped a piece of paper here. And what I was going to do was um, just kind of show how the watercolor works by just taking a really wet brush, and I'm thinking very abstract. And I'm putting wet and dry. So there is, like Corinne was talking about, in a wash, you can just kind of play with where it's wet, it'll walk into. So like right here, if I put this down here, I can pick up my piece of paper and it moves around. So it kind of can be like alcohol inks like that. Now I can go right into some of this orangey color or red color. And if I put a bunch of that in, it would actually, but what you'll see is it's not going out of where I already have stuff. Where I have the water, it'll stay there. It'll mingle a little bit in with the other color, but it's just going to continue to kind of play in its little area. So I'm just going to throw a bunch of different colors in here since I got all of this color here. And I'm going to then throw some of the yellow colors almost kind of next to it in places and see what colors those make. And then I'm going to throw some of the blue color that I have also
Are you
in
working
place.
on wet paper or dry paper?
I took the brush, Kareem, and
Oh,
I
and just did
wet
a,
sections of it. So
okay.
like I can wet that section. I just went through and wet sections of it. So I have dry edges and hard edges. so I don't wet the whole paper. So before I did anything, I put the colors down. I used to call these starts because I would just kind of then throw color in and let the color mingle with itself in different ways in the kind of bold areas. So like I can just come and throw a little bit of water in there and then throw some blue in where I put the water and then watch that blue creep in to other colors, but also it's going to stay away. It's going to leave these hard edges. Now, if I want the hard edges to get softer, I can then go, so here I have I was trying to show hard and soft edges. So I really like the shape of that, but I might want to make this hard edge right, where do I want? I want to make this hard edge softer. So then what I would do is I just put water in my brush and I come right up to it and I'd add some more water and you can see how that color is going to creep in. So this gets us some really beautiful intensity of colors. I want to put some more blue in there, and I think I want to put a bunch of blue over there, and let's put some more blue in this area. And I don't know if I have hardly any, but this is just giving us interesting patterns of colors and letting them just kind of mingle. What I hope to do is then use, and I can keep on adding colors. So here I've got a little too much yellow right here. What if I put the red in it and then either pick it up or just blow it. I can blow it to make it move. It's going to naturally want to move into, it's called like blooming. And so it's going to naturally want to move into other spaces. So here I definitely want to put some more yellow in this one. So I'm just making quite a mess, but that's okay because what I want to do is later, I just want to kind of balance my colors a little bit. And then when we go back into it we can go back into it with stuff. So let's just say I want to connect this to this. If I connect that, those colors are going to creep into each other. Let's just say I want to put a blue, I'm using this really big, funky brush here. Let's just say I want to put some blue here. And then if I connect the blue into this yellow, it is going, see how it moves? See how it just kind of, so when I'm doing really abstract things, as long as I just pick 3 colors that have fun together, that, don't make mud, I can end up with these really interesting areas of color and pattern. I've got a little bit too much water in the very center here. If I have too much water, I can dry my brush and literally it'll pull up some of the water. So, but I might want to bring these just to the end a little bit and let the different colors work in with them. You can also do, so I'm really liking some of these. Some of them are looking a little blobby-ish, but then again, this is just a beginning. So what happens if I take a yellow color and go right next to this kind of, I have a little bit of blue here and I have a little bit of red there. Now, will that little red, see how the red is moving into the orange? And do you see how the blue up here is moving into it's not orange, it's actually yellow, but whatever. I don't like this hard edge up here, so I can just take water and soften it. And now that's going to move up. I don't like this extra water here. I can pull it off with a brush. I think that this hard edge down here is a bit problematic. Maybe I want to, so I'm just exploring how the inks are going to mingle together, how to make softer edges if I want, or let hard edges stand. Do I want this hard edge to stand there? I don't know. I can just soften it a little bit. Okay. Oh, I like that, Korinne.
Well, I'm just, I'm playing, thank you. Because I haven't done this in a long time and I'm just trying to refamiliarize myself with the amount of water and the effect with the different amounts of water because some of it I've gotten too wet.
Well, and I deliberately got things really wet in places because you get these wonderful little accidents that kind of happen where they
Yeah.
bloom, especially if you kind of move it around a little bit. They end up blooming in really interesting and intricate ways.
Yes, so I have some of that happening in one area that I like. I've got it in another area where I don't. But this is good just to as we explore what does the paint do,
Yes.
and what
So
does the different amount of water that we add to the paint do?
So the trick with a lot of the watercolor, so I'm going to leave this one really boldly, whatever this is up here.
That's cool.
I kind of am liking, these are just beginnings. These are just absolute, we're not really sure what we're even doing. But
That's true.
we'll come back, we'll come back with more, we'll come back with more next week and use the Derwent pencils and Inktense and Stabilos and different things to just add more interest,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And right now mine's really wet. And that is how it kind of, so when it's really wet, you can add more in. Sometimes it ends up being too wet. I can pick up and make it go into different spots. At some points, we're going to get to the point where it does sometimes it's the dreaded bloom, and sometimes it is the bloom that we want. So like here, I might not want to bloom. Everything's drying around it. If I don't pull out a little bit of this color or put the color somewhere else, it's going to bloom. Now it probably won't bloom because I've pulled out a little bit of the color. And I can also look again do I want some soft edges around here or do I like the hard edges? There's a very hard edge up there. There's a very hard edge here with just a little bit of water. I can make that go away. So it's all a dance. And I happen to love the textures of a lot of the blooms and the textures of what happens with the colors. You can get a lot of texture without using salt and stuff like that. And I like the textures where it all comes together. And I'm not sure what these are going to be. I don't like that little, I want to soften that edge right there. But they're going to be abstract. I'm not interested in teaching you how to paint a bird in watercolor. We're mixed media. We're going to use these as abstracts, and we can, we may end up putting things on it. Now here I've got too much water in this corner, so I'm just using a little bit of a paper towel to sop up a little bit of the water. I still want it to go soft in there. Ooh, now I put a wrong color in, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong. It's just what it is. I can also take a smaller brush. So I'm going to take a smaller round, not a super small round, but this is a 8, I think, 10, whatever. Oh, this brush I've never used before, so it won't come out of its little container. I treated myself to brushes the other day. I knew this was coming, so I decided that I would get try out a whole bunch of different of the Princeton line of brushes and see which one I liked the best. So I can take some of this color I have, and while it's still just gently, just not quite lost all of its shine, I can drop some more spots in it, or kind of give it a little bit more in the way of texture. I definitely want something happening in there. And you'll see it just kind of dissipates. Now, when it's dry, it won't do that. It's drier over here. It's going to end up softening a bit, but it's not necessarily going to soften all the way. What are you discovering, Korinne?
Well, I'm really trying to discover how the different effects with, as I said before, with how wet my paper is. I think sometimes if it's very wet, I'm getting a lot of blooming. And it's harder to, well, of course, I'm trying to do some control here.
Yes. Can you see
Um,
that mine is not about control?
yes, and so that's, I know I need to like not control. What I also like is I'm discovering if I add some water to the edge of the painted area while it's still wet, it will bloom out into the area that's wet. I always find it fascinating with watercolor that it doesn't go if anywhere there's no water.
Yes, watercolor doesn't, you can, I mean, like if I picked this up right, I have a bit of a puddle here. If I really, really pick it up, nah, it's not, still not going to go. It's got another path. It's going to take its easiest path. And if it is wet, that is its easiest path. So you saw me trying to get that to break that. Sometimes if you get it super, super, super wet, it will end up um, breaking, but that's so very, very, very rarely. It really is. It's very rarely. And sometimes I just look and see what happens. What if I just put a little more and allow it to bloom? So the trick on, so if you put more water, than its pigment in, it's going to bloom in a ugly way, kind of. Because what happens is that it has so much water in, it pushes the pigment out. If I,
Yeah, I've got that happening in some places.
right, if I put less water, so like here it was soft, and when I here it was damp, and when I put it in, I didn't put a lot of water in. I put a lot of pigment in with my splashes, and it's not doing ugly blooming. It's
Right.
doing interesting blooming.
Mhm.
And so if I want to, right here, where's really wet? Where's good wet? Okay, so if right there, I don't want it to bloom, but I want to put some yellow in it,
Mhm.
I have this really thick, it's not very watery. And when I just lay that in, it's going to bloom a bit. Can you see how it's blooming a bit? But it's
Mhm.
not pushing all of the water away.
Mhm.
Or pushing all the pigment away. If I just take too much water in it, so where can I do a bloom that won't look horrible? Okay, so, and I can always fix it later, but this is wet and this is going to be like way too much water.
Got it.
And what's going to happen as it sits there, you can see that it's going to bloom out into a circle, kind of a blobby circle there. It's going to bloom its way out. Now, I can use this like this. I use this a lot of times to make like a sun, and that's going to make an interesting dot. And I better put like 3 more somewhere else because it's going to look stupid if there's only one. But it's going to make an interesting bloom, but it might not be, if I'm looking for a sky, that's not what I want. If I'm
Right.
looking for a sky, this could work really well to add that color in.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how it works. And I can still, now I can't, usually if it totally dries, like it's totally dry here, it doesn't, softening that, I can't just use a little bit of water and it's not going to come back out. I can soften the edge I want with a little bit of water just by kind of worrying it and softening it, but it's still going to be fairly much a hard edge.
Yeah, I can see
If
that.
it's wet, like here, if I hit it, as you say, you can see how it's just going to travel
Right.
through.
So I
So
can
there's a lot
I
of,
can soften this because the papers and everything's still damp.
right,
Okay.
right,
But up here, well, it's going to be harder. Now I can't really do it up here because it's dry.
right. And you could eventually soften a little bit, but it's not going to soften where it all flows in. Here, it all flowed, where was I? I can't even remember. It all kind of flowed in, so you no longer have a hard edge. Whereas where here, it's just looks a little softer, but it doesn't. So there's a lot of different tools. Here's a very hard edge. I can't, no matter what I do, it's not going to soften that edge unless I scrub at it. And I can scrub it and soften the edge that way, but that's not what we're talking about now. We're talking about control of our water. So now let's just say I have a little puddle here. Maybe I want that puddle to go up a little bit. So I just touch the tip of it, put water out, and it wicks the color right into it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a real interesting way of making, I make flowers like that a lot, putting just the colors in the center and then wicking it out to the petals at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But if it wasn't abstract, if I was trying to do something, that would be a particularly ugly little dot there where I got that bloom.
Right, but it's cool in the abstract.
Yes, it is cool in the abstract. So it's just, so now what did you use for your golden color? Did you use quinacridone gold or raw sienna?
I used Quinn Gold.
Yeah. Quinacridone gold and manganese, is that what that is?
No, the blue there's turquoise and I couldn't get my other blue open. Turquoise and ultramarine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's very pretty.
So, okay. I will practice this week.
I think that
we're out of
that's,
time.
we are out of time. Let's practice this week. Now, next week, we're going to start going into this with marks. So
Okay.
this is just kind of a start of some kind. And
Mhm.
it may call to us and it may not. It may end up being just cut up into little cards, that we put something in. But at this point, this is just called a start. It's just colors mixing together and letting them blend so you have more colors and more things happening. And then next week we're going to you can use intense blocks, you can use the aquacolor crayons, you can use Stabilos, you can use, I actually have some watercolor that is in like ink, but it's just watercolor. There's a lot of different options of what we can use. Okay?
Sounds great.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And sorry for the little oops. I had no idea that was a
That's
piece of
okay.
foil paper. Thanks. Bye.
All right. We'll see everyone next Friday. Have a good week.
Have a good week.